Why do some people crumble when others rise? Why is it that some people will fall apart, fall to pieces under the simplest of circumstances? Barely any resistance of life, yet someone else can endure the harshest trials and still come out on top. What's the difference between these people? Well, obviously, it's going to be some form of mental toughness, some form of an inner constitution or an inner strength that helps one prevail over the details and affairs and resistance of life. You know, when we were kids, we were told, you've got to be tough. Parents, teachers, coaches, they all told us we needed to toughen up. Right? We were told we had to be prepared for what was coming after childhood because life was easy when we were young, was it not? You had your food provided for you. You had everything that you needed. You had parents and family members that protected you and watched over you. But they told you, when you're out of school, when you're out of the home, when you finally face the real world, you're going to have to discover what it means to be tough because the world is not going to be so kind to you, is it? We've all experienced that, right? You grow up at home and maybe people treat you well. You get out into the world and they don't treat you so well. Maybe you found that in school. Suddenly when you get into school, you discover what bullying is. Yeah, sure, we get all that at home too. I get that. I'm just talking in general terms. We had to get ourselves ready to experience the toughness of life. Or maybe you did have a difficult childhood and you are and consider yourself to be a tough person, yet you're not getting the results that you want in life. You're still basically stuck in life. You're still basically contending with the very same circumstances that you did before. You're going to need that toughness. So maybe you're tough when it comes to the criticism of others. Maybe you're tough in the sense that you can deal with, physical challenges. You can deal with the financial setbacks, but you never get ahead. Is that the goal? Just to be tough enough to endure being in debt and struggling financially all your life? Is that the goal? To just be tough enough to endure physical challenges, physical poor health without getting healthy, without living your best life physically? Is it just enough to endure your marriage? Is it just enough to endure your kids, endure anything in life and not experience something better, not experience something greater? Isn't that the goal? I think sometimes we get trapped mentally. We get trapped into thinking, I just have to endure. I just have to get through another day. There's a toughness that you need for that. There's no doubt about it. You do need a toughness to deal with the resistance of life. But there's got to be something more. There's got to be something more. We don't just want you to not crumble. We want you to rise again. We want you to become what you haven't been thus far. So you get those two kind of toughnesses. Maybe you had it difficult when you were growing up, as I said. And so you're able to endure constant setbacks, but you never prevail. You never prosper. You never do better. You don't want to just live trying to have the toughness to get through every day. You want to get to the place where you relish the morning, where you relish a new day, where you can't wait to get out of bed again and do and progress and move the needle and move your life a little bit further today. Well, that takes toughness too. So yeah, you might be tough enough to deal with constant challenges, but you're always dealing with these constant challenges. It's good to have challenges, but let they be the challenges of reaching a new precipice. Let it be the challenge of going to the next level. Right? If you're going to the gym and you're going to build muscle or lose weight, let the toughness be based on getting past those barriers, getting past those limitations. Maybe you were lifting a certain amount of weight. You're only lifting 80 pounds, but you're going to keep pushing and making it more difficult so that you can lift 120 pounds. Well, getting from 80 pounds to 120 pounds lifting a weight is not going to happen overnight. You're going to have to keep turning up the heat, right? You have to keep adding a little more weight at a time until you build the strength, the toughness to lift the heavier weight. So it's good that maybe you're tough to have survived so far in life, but it's going to create the same thing if you don't change the way you train in life. So what we need now is a toughness not just to endure life, we need a toughness to create a better life. So again, why do some people crumble while others rise? It's all about the toughness. But the toughness can't be limited to just the way that you are and maintaining the way that you are. That toughness has to become something that takes you to the next level. And so we got to get you out of this just being in a difficult situation all the time just because life is resisting you and you're just trying to survive it. Let's create difficulty because you're creating new levels in life, because you're becoming more than you are. Let that be the toughness that's required. And so to do that, I want you to create, as best you can, forge in yourself a new and stronger mindset. So what is mental toughness? Well, it's not about being emotionless. Sometimes that can be misconstrued. Maybe you grew up with a dad or somebody who was emotionless. They were tough. Oh, my dad went to work every day. He worked 12-hour days and out in the elements and endured so many things, but he was quiet all the time. He was hard to approach. He was always in a bad mood, or just emotionless, period. It's not about that, right? It's not about being emotionless. It's about being unbreakable in the face of difficulty, whether that difficulty is, again, just the resistance of life, or whether those difficulties are the resistance that you're creating because you're trying to get to the next level. Again, increasing the weight that you're trying to lift. So mental toughness is not being emotionless, it's having emotional control, right? It's having emotional control, and that comes from perspective, right? We can have better control over our emotions if we maintain perspective in life. What is perspective? Perspective is a view. It's a way you view your life. And so if you tell yourself always the story, if the narrative that's running consistently in your mind is that life is out to get you, that no matter how hard you try, life is always going to get the better of you, that no matter how much you work at something, it always seems to fail, you can never seem to stick with it, you always quit, you always give up too soon, that again, life is just out to get you. You were born to lose, born to fail, born for things to be difficult. You'll never get what other people have. You'll never achieve what other people achieve because it's just not for you. You were not chosen to live a successful and enjoyable life. You were chosen to suffer. That's a perspective. That's a view of the world. And that may be your view of the world right now. That may be the view that you've had since you were young, just because of the way you've learned to interpret the difficulties of life, just because of the way you've learned to understand and give meaning to all the challenges and resistance that you've faced. Now, you've discounted all of the good things that have happened. I can't believe it's all been painful. It hasn't. There's always moments of relief. There's always moments of happiness. There's things that you actually did achieve. There are problems in life that you actually did solve. There were good days. There were good seasons. There were good moments. It's just that the majority of it appeared to be difficult, and you added or compounded that difficulty by the narrative that you started to tell. That's your perspective. And so, therefore, your emotions tend to get out of control whenever you face difficulty. You seem to react the same way whenever the fires get turned up. Why? Because of the way you see it. When resistance comes, you say, oh, shit, here it goes again. And that begins to boil over, right? That begins to boil over. And pretty soon, those emotions are coming out. You are not in control of your emotions. So you cannot have mental toughness in order to control emotions unless you have perspective. Well, that's a challenge now. If you've been telling yourself one story all of your life, if your life has been the horror story that you keep telling yourself, that it never ever works out for you, it's not going to be an easy thing to change, but you certainly can change it. And you could start now. You could literally start today. I guarantee you that even thus far, if you've been listening to me, there's already a change, and you can sense it, right? Because I'm describing you. You've given me, just for a few minutes here, basically control of your mind. You're listening. You're in a passive position. You're listening to what I have to say, and the words themselves are starting to mess with your wiring. I'm starting to go contrary or come against the narrative that you continually tell yourself. And then there's a deeper inner voice inside of you that's starting to whisper right now and saying, I agree with him. There's a part of you right now that's saying, I think you need to listen to what he's saying because I want something more. Even though your mind is telling you this negative story all the time, there's still an element inside of you that's saying something different. There's still something inside of you that's speaking a different narrative and wants to live a different life. And if you will turn off the main voice, and start turning up the volume of that inner voice. What's the inner voice? What's the inner voice, CJ? It's what's speaking to you right now. It's that silent thought that's happening right now as I'm speaking that's saying yes. Yes to what I'm saying. He's saying yes. Listen to him. You should go this way. That part of you is a voice. It's literally speaking right now in thought. Because we know you have that negative perspective. So what is this part of you right now that's saying, I agree with what CJ is saying? How could you have these two voices inside of you? Are you a split personality? No, it's a deeper voice, that deeper part of you that's always there, but it's always covered up by the clods, by the hardened soil of the roughness and the toughness and the resistance of life. So nothing grows out of it. It's not tilled, soft, beautiful ground from which all kinds of wonderful things can grow out of your life. It's hardened ground. It's tough. A seed can't even penetrate it. Throw water on it, it doesn't seem to make a difference. You are hardened to life, but still underneath, there is something speaking. Still underneath, there is something telling you, yes, I'm born for something greater. Yes, there's something greater that I can do. Yes, there's so much more than I can live. Yes, I don't have to stay this way anymore. I hate the way this lives. I hate the way my life is turning out. And I want to live and experience something better. So you're not going to get mental toughness without that perspective, without the changing of the way you see life. So start to turn up the volume of the part of you that's in agreement with what I'm saying right now. Let's start to give that part of you control. What the hell? Let's give the better part of you control of your life for a little while. We've seen how the other part of you has performed. You're still stuck in the same circumstances. You're still suffering the very same things, financially, relationally, physically, emotionally, psychologically, vocationally, and more. We already know how that goes. We already know how that story always turns out. So let's turn up the volume on that other voice, because that other voice wants that new perspective to say, wait a minute, I'm capable. I'm as capable as anyone, right? My body works. My mind works. I've done things in the past. I'm capable. There's potential. I don't have to listen to what other people tell me. I don't have to give in when somebody tells me I can't do anything more with my life. I don't have to endure what the bad manager says to me. I don't have to give in to family members that resist me or doubt me or question me or criticize me. I can keep life, the world, and other people far enough away, not cutting them off completely, but far enough away where they don't penetrate my heart anymore and damage and poison my perspective. You have to guard your heart from all destroyers. Don't cut them off. You just need to be bigger than anything anybody else is saying. You just need to be bigger and stronger and tougher than anything else you're facing. That's the key. It's not being emotionless, as I said. It's being unbreakable in the face of pain. It's having emotional control. And that begins with perspective, by telling yourself now a different story and by believing different things about yourself, that you are someone who could not only endure the hardship of life, but you could thrive in life. You can prosper in life. You can increase to the right hand and to the left. You can be so much more than you are right now if you just begin to believe. If you just begin to change that outlook, change that perspective, This is what creates the new mindset. This is what adds to your personal strength. It's not all about endurance. It's the way you see yourself. It's the way you see the world. It's the way you see others. It's the way you see the potential that exists around you. Oh, I promise you, you are surrounded by abundance. You are surrounded by potential. You ever thought about that before? How much potential and abundance that you're surrounded with? I'll prove it to you. We can go back thousands and thousands of years, and guess what? All there is dirt, rocks, birds, trees, clouds, water, mountains, animals, right? That's all there is. There's no airplanes. There's no chocolate chip cookies. There's no movies. There's no trash man. There's no technology. There's no nothing, right? Everything that we live in today, where did it come from? Did someone discover an airplane under a rock? Did someone pick laptop computers from a tree? Is that how they came about? Did archaeologists dig up cell phones and that's how we came across an iPhone? Absolutely not. How did we get from rocks and dirt and water to Shakespeare, to Spielberg, to the Quarter Pounder with cheese, to this microphone I'm speaking into, to the internet, to our clothing, right? How did we get to all of this abundance? Did it just come from nothing? Kinda. There was always that potential, always that potential. So for you go back 1,000 years, you don't have airplanes, do you? You go back 1,000 years, you don't have televisions. But if you think about it, if you go back 1,000 years, a plane still could have flown. It wasn't like the laws of flight, the laws of thrust and lift were suddenly invented or discovered at the beginning of the 20th century. No, the laws of flight, the laws of electricity, the laws of all sorts of things were always there. The potential was always there. It just took us time to uncover it. It took us time to get there. Same thing with your life. You're filled with untapped potential if you'll just give yourself over to the process. And that's part of that perspective, is to say, I know I'm capable of so much more. And you can begin to tap into that creativity. And as you do, and you exercise yourself towards this, you practice this, this becomes your life, this becomes your praxis, as they say, then you're going to start to tap into it, and you're going to start seeing those little glimmers of it. It's going to start appearing to the surface. That soil, as I talked about before, that hardened ground is going to begin to be toiled and turned over, and it's going to begin to produce results for you. So granted, you can't control the hits in life, but you can certainly control how you handle them, right? You know that. So again, you know how to endure certain things, but let's go to that next level. Let's do more than just control the hits. Let's excel. Let's do something more. So toughness for you then is going to begin where your comfort ends. Isn't that true? Resistance is just a training partner for you. It's not an enemy. You can no longer see then, this is again a part of perspective, you can no longer see the resistance of life as an enemy, as something that's out to destroy you, that life just has it in for you. Resistance is a training partner. It's like a boxer. It needs somebody to spar with. Resistance is your training partner. It's going to make you a better fighter, right? It's going to help you land your shots. It's going to help you block things. Resistance is not your enemy. It's who you train with. But that's not comfortable. It's not comfortable getting in the ring and taking shots, right? But toughness begins where your comfort ends. And so you're going to have to make yourself a little bit more uncomfortable, not just to endure the challenges of life, right? We're going to get past that. But you need to develop this toughness. You need to increase the resistance. You need to get uncomfortable so that you can get to your next level. Because if it doesn't challenge you, my friend, it's never going to change you, right? If it doesn't challenge you, it's never going to change you. So you've got to control, as I said, this inner voice. You got to replace that I can't do it with I'll figure it out. You got to replace the why does this always happen to me with how am I going to kick it in the ass? If life isn't challenging you, then it's not going to change you. Now, the challenges we have received in life before have changed us, but not for the better. What we want to do is begin to change the way we look at resistance, the way we look at criticism from others, the way we look at everything in life that makes us uncomfortable, and start to use it selfishly, exploit it selfishly to make ourselves that much stronger. So you're going to replace that I can't mentality with I can, I'll figure it out, I'll solve this problem. But you got to remember then, you can't during this process, because this is going to be a temptation for you, you can't talk yourself down. Why do I say that? Well, because if you make yourself uncomfortable and you start increasing the resistance, you have the possibility of failure. You have the possibility of not showing up one day. You have the possibility of not doing what you set out to do. And what happens? You start to talk yourself down. That old narrative comes back and says, see, nothing ever changes. You're still going to be that same way. You were an idiot to listen to these motivational speakers who told you you're going to change. Because every time you start to talk yourself down, you're training and strengthening your weakness. When you talk yourself down, you're training and strengthening the weakness. You're not building strength. Okay? You have to build strength, and in order to do that, your self-talk is going to matter a great deal. You have to keep yourself in the fight. And sometimes that's where simple mantras, simple words, or short sentences are very, very helpful, right? Because the busyness of life, you get caught up in it. If you're out there trying to do things and trying to grow, man, it's not, you don't have time to meditate, right? But you can keep a continual conversation in your mind with words and positive statements and affirmations that crowd out the evil, crowd out the negativity, and keep you in the fight. If you talk yourself down and all that chatter is negative, you're actually training and strengthening your weakness. But if you keep telling yourself the right thing, if you keep speaking to yourself that you can, you're going to push, you're going to strive, you're going to do more. Again, short words, short sentences, nothing too elaborate. Just anything that keeps you moving and anything that keeps negativity out of your head. Negativity can't dwell, grow, fester, and infiltrate if your mind is constantly filled with short mantras. I can. I will. I'm the dominator. I'm a conqueror. I win. I achieve. I win. I achieve. I resist. You keep saying these things to yourself. And then remember that as you do this, then you're going to start to get those small wins. You're going to say, man, I showed up today. I did what I set out to do. But those small wins begin to add up. They add up to huge resilience. They add up to your personal strength. So again, you've got to get out of that comfort zone, which means doing something difficult, doing something hard every day. You've got to do something a little difficult, a little hard every day because you're training that mindset. You're training that mind, those thoughts, like a muscle. And muscles need resistance, right? Muscles need resistance. So you're going to have to increase that resistance. That's what we said before. To create this toughness, we don't just need the toughness to deal with life. We need to create new resistance to create a new kind of toughness, the kind of toughness that creates success. Because if just general toughness created success, then people who had the most painful past would be the most successful, right? If it was just an issue of just tough, you had a tough childhood, so you're able to be tough in life and endure life. If that created success, then everybody with a tough childhood, everybody who had pain would be the most successful. So obviously that toughness is not enough. It's helpful. It provides a good foundation, but it's not enough. We need a new kind of mental toughness that's grounded in challenges that create results. That's grounded in a new belief, because that's going to be your biggest resistance. It's not going to be going to the gym every day or keeping your diet or paying off the debt or whatever. That's not going to be the toughest thing you experience. You think that's the toughest thing you're going to experience. Oh, I've never been self-disciplined before. That's not going to be the toughest thing you face. The toughest thing you're going to face in the meantime, it's going to be your own resistance. The toughest thing you're going to face starting out will be your own resistance in the form of unbelief, in the form of negativity, in the temptation to talk yourself down, in the temptation to say, who am I kidding? This is never going to happen for me. All of that drivel, all of that negativity, that's the resistance you're going to face. That's the thing, if you can overcome it, will truly create this new kind of mental toughness. So don't fear the failure then. You just use it as feedback. Failure can be fuel for you, because if you're still learning, my friend, then you're still winning. Don't fear the failure. Failure is actually feedback. It's data. It's information. You know, when you have a car manufacturer, let's say, Chevrolet or Toyota, and all of the technicians and the scientists are in there creating a new version of an engine or a new version of some component of a car. Well, what happens? It fails. They create something, they test it, it fails. Failure, 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 failure. Well, how many times do they fail before they finally get it right in a laboratory? A hell of a lot, the majority of the time, until they start to work out and solve all the problems and work out the kinks. But do they get discouraged when they fail? Do they say, oh, I'm a loser? Hell no. They could never do their jobs. They use failure as data to tell them what's not working, to tell them what they need to adjust, what they need to change in order to get success in the different iterations that they're working on. Failure is feedback. Failure is information. So don't turn on yourself. If you fail, just say, it's all right. I'm going to get right back at it as if I never faltered, and just keep going. That's what toughness is. That's what the kind of new mental toughness you need to embrace. The discomfort, the control, the discipline, the perspective. You have to start. That's all you need to do. Just get started. And you can do that today. Just do one thing that kind of scares you, one thing that intimidates you, one thing that you're reluctant to do. It's something simple, right? Because life is going to hit you. When it does, you're just going to need to hit back harder. And the way you're going to hit back harder is when your mind is so soaked in a new perspective that you relish the resistance. You can't wait to get up and face the life and do and be everything that you have the potential to do and be. Stop telling yourself the old story. Turn that voice up and turn on that inner voice that says, absolutely, I can do it. Can you dig that? I hope you can. Well, listen, if you'd love to support what I'm doing here at Mental Motivation, support my Mental Motivation mission, then you can go to mentalmotivationstore.com to get apparel and accessories for motivated people who love heavy metal. T-shirts, hats, all of it. You'll love the stuff that's on there, and it is an easy and great way for you to support what I do, the Mental Motivation mission. And if you'd like to get messages sent to your email inbox, the best way to do that is to join my mailing list. And I put out some really good content. Well, you're speaking very highly of yourself, CJ. I've been at this a long time, right? It'll be helpful to you, I promise. But I want you to get on my mailing list because it's a great way for us to stay connected. We can't rely on social media. Social media is hit and miss. The algorithms are constantly changing. So everybody has that email address. So I'd love to share with you powerful messages that I know will help you maximize your life, reach your goals, change your perspective, get you on the fast track to thriving. And so the link is in the comments below. And as a bonus, when you sign up for my email list, you can get my Mental Motivation ebook, downloadable, and you'll enjoy that as well. Again, link in the comments below. And share some of your thoughts. I'd love to get some of your feedback, maybe things you'd like for me to cover in the future. Just leave those in the comments below. But I thank you for taking the time with me. Again, this is CJ, the Mental Motivator. And remember, in whatever you do, don't suck. Metal up.